Well, let's make a start. Let's make a start. Thank you, everyone, for coming along. This is going to be a great, great conversation at today's Viva podcast. Now, look, we're talking about AI today, and AI is not just a buzzword, it is a game changer. That's how I see it. And this June at the Viva Coach Experience, my aim is to empower you all with knowledge and tools to harness the power of AI. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a professional, or simply curious about what the technology is and what the future holds, there is an opportunity for you to stay ahead of the curve. So that's what it's all going to be about today. And welcome. Today, we are joined by a business consultant, a virtual influencer, a tech guru, but most importantly, someone that I value so, so much in my professional network, Leroy.777. Welcome, Leroy. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm honored to be here, to be honest.
Look, I have been looking forward to this so much, and you know it because every time I've seen you leading up to this, I'm like, Leroy, this is going to be awesome, and I'm so looking forward to it. So thank you so much for making time. I know you're busy, and all the stuff that you're putting out there for AI, and it's even leading up to this podcast. I'm just like, this is so great. So hopefully we can unpack some of that today with you, and give it to our audience in the room. But also, this is being recorded as well, so hopefully we'll have viewers and listeners from here on as well. So let's just start with some introductions and basics, if that's good with you, Leroy. Now, the fact is, everyone in the room here now, and I'm sure those who'll be listening, they already know who Leroy is, because Leroy is, look, you're popular, right? You're popular. But let's still start with, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in tech, and more specifically around AI.
So I've always loved tech, you know what I'm saying? As far as like building computers and, being as young as getting my first Dell computer that my mom brought from her work and whatnot. But I have a bachelor's degree in information technology, so IT, and with a concentration in cybersecurity. So I love tech, but just like anything else, I'm very concentrated in what I guess adds to my fire. So what adds to my fire is tech, and how you can use tech to either better your life or make you money in the process. So it's a lot of that.
It's the enablement, isn't it? That's absolutely fantastic. And look, we're talking about AI today. A lot of people, when they talk about AI today, they're actually talking about Gen AI, because AI has been around a long, long time, right? So how and when did you sort of sparked interest into AI? And obviously, clearly, I can see that journey is now following through with Gen AI as well, from everything that I see from you, Leroy. So tell us a little bit more about sort of, what was perhaps your first encounters with AI?
So I'll be honest with you, the biggest thing that kind of like, okay, this is pretty crazy, is like watching like DeepMind, for example, right? Like having situations where when you're going, AI is going against a human, and it, it's showing the capability of what it can do, right? For somebody, grabbing somebody that's that high in their rankings as far as a chess player, or that high in the rankings as far as problem solving, and getting a system to be able to overcome that, it kind of piqued my interest, and in that aspect, you kind of think like, okay, well, I'm somebody that likes information. Sometimes you might think it's useless information, but I believe it's something you might need down the road. Well, think about, I always thought about, maybe from that point, I always thought of, well, someday I feel like AI is going to allow us to have a it's kind of silly, but a second memory, or at least help us with making what we have right now, better than what we currently have, facilitating a better process.
That's really interesting, because I do also remember, actually, back in the day, my first encounter was probably that chess game on the computer, and gosh, how frustrating it got, right? But yeah, actually, when I kind of reflect back, one of the earliest encounters were probably those games that came along on computers, right? So that's really interesting. But look, for our listeners who might be new to the topic, how would you define AI in very simple terms?
So, I mean, in the simplest term that I can say, right, without kind of, because people kind of take things out of context. So AI is made to kind of mimic, the way that we think, and the things that we can, I guess, reason, right? But make it in a process that's a little bit better than, a lot better than, I guess, the way that we do. Now, in my opinion, we kind of do some tasks a lot better than AI does. But for the more like tasks that can be automated, AI
Yeah.
is basically AI is basically, teaching a machine how to do, human human task with human reasoning as much as they're able to do with the data that they have.
Love it, love it. And I always sort of, think about it in terms of speed and skill. And
Hmm.
those two things can really sort of accelerate us in terms of what we're trying to achieve as well. And you have said there, sort of, sometimes people think X, Y, and Z. There are definitely some common misconceptions when it comes to
Hmm.
AI. Touch a little bit on that, Leroy.
So the biggest reason why I do love tech, right, is because when I was growing up, a lot of I guess my family, the older crowd would usually they didn't like computers, they were just
Mm-hmm.
not accepting TV, but you don't watch TV, you go outside and play and stuff like that, which is great. But I always saw that, there was always a better way to use this tech. Yeah, there was a way that you consume education or consume entertainment just like
Yeah.
anything else, but there was a way that you can apply it for your life. And the biggest, I think, misconception is that a lot of this stuff is going to replace us or that it's going to take our jobs. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
blows my mind because it's like tech is here to for the most part, this tech is here to disrupt like computers are here to we're here to disrupt. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like, is it going to automate a lot of jobs? Yeah, it's probably going to automate a lot of jobs, but it's also going to create a lot of jobs, just like the computer
That's it.
created,
That's it.
just like the typewriter took a lot of jobs. There was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things in the past that have done the same cycle that AI is currently doing.
That's it. And the most recent research on AI and workforce, actually, I was reading through by PwC. It's a report, AI
Mm,
Job Barometer, that they've published, and it suggests it will create more jobs than it'll actually,
oh
put
yeah.
under threat. It's
Mm,
just we need to ensure that we are adapting and reskilling and upskilling, etc., to be able to take on those new roles, because that's essentially where the gap's going to start becoming bigger and the opportunities will
mhm.
be lost. So yeah, those who are kind of, being agile and being on that learning curve will definitely be right at the front of being able to take those opportunities as well, for sure, for sure. And now AI, this is what I really, really, when I talk about scale, right, and speed, most amazing thing about this is it's so cross industry. You can talk about
Mhm.
healthcare, it's there.
Yep.
Entertainment, it's there. Finance, it's there. You'd pick any industry, any sort of subsector, even AI is there, and it's being used in so many different various ways. What have you seen, Leroy, that you've kind of seen and you kind of thought this is an amazing use case and something perhaps as humans we've been trying to address a challenge for a long time, and AI is here to help us.
Well, you hit it right on the dot. I mean, uh, healthcare is a big one. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people obviously want to live not, I hope not forever, but want to live for a very long time or live longer than they currently live right now, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff is these tools and this machine learning, all this stuff is being used to be able to, catch tumors before most humans can. You know what I'm saying? Or catch things
Yeah.
that maybe it takes us a little longer to be able to catch. And with a lot of this stuff, abnormalities, cancer, a lot of this stuff, the earlier you catch it, the better it is. So using
Mm-hmm.
these tools to enhance what we already do is going to
Yeah.
prolong our life. One thing that people don't think about, and sometimes because I'm down in Miami, I drive up all the time to North Florida. You go to
Mm-hmm.
Gainesville, you go to Tallahassee, you go to these places, and people think that Florida is all about the city. How you see in Miami or how you see in all these the video games and whatnot. And when you go up north Florida, it's actually a lot of farm. There's a lot of woodlands. There's a lot of
Right.
different terrain up there. And they're using AI with drone. They'll use the drones. They'll fly it over. They'll take pictures over their crops, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll feed it to their to what their preferred AI that they're using. There's already systems that people are creating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that tells them, hey man, these crops are looking like they're beating, they're having an issue, or this crop looks like an animal's attacking them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
lasers. I know some people have seen like the lasers that they use. It doesn't necessarily, from what I've read, doesn't necessarily harm them, but it does use AI to be able to identify the pests when they're on the trees. So it beams the
Ah,
laser
right.
to
Yeah,
them
yeah.
and it gets rid
Mm-hmm.
of them. So now you have more food, you have more resources, you don't lose crops now, and you're able to
Yeah.
feed more people. Once again,
Mm-hmm.
helping us live a little longer. But those
Yeah.
are two cases that I mean, it's blowing my mind. And just I do want to say this. It's think about it. I was talking to Hardy a little bit of this before this. Um, it's like the technology is different, but it's like since the beginning of a stick. Think about a stick, right? Some people, some we'll say caveman, right? cavemen were walking around and they grabbed a stick. One of the cavemen could have grabbed the stick and made fire. Another one could have grabbed it and grabbed food. Another one could have made a bow out of it. You get what I'm saying? So with this stuff, you don't have to think all the time like, okay, what's the conventional way that people are using this, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to know about crops to be able to create code, you know what I mean, that incorporates AI to be able to put into one of these I mean, there's cameras already that have it in there. It's just writing code to let it know what it needs to look for. You don't need to need to have much knowledge about the crops. You just need to know how to create, the way for you to simplify the process. But just think outside the box on some of these things is what I'm basically saying.
Yeah, and it's different skill sets that are needed in those industries now, right? As well, like you're saying, you don't necessarily have to be an SME in knowing sort of, how crops are, managed and delivered. Actually, you need a very different skill set and still be successful in that industry. So I think what it also does is it opens up so many doors to people in terms of trying out different industries as well. Whereas, previously you just had to be an SME to be part of that industry almost, right? At that frontline point of view. And that's amazing. We've touched on industries. Let's just quickly touch on some of the everyday uses for sort of, a common person who is not a industry expert, who's just going about their daily routine, day life, day to day. How do you think AI is sort of helping those individuals?
I mean, you see it in your everyday life, right? And you're you laugh because you see, shows from back in the day like Smart House, on Disney Channel, that has a whole house that does everything for you and knows what time you wake up and knows. But I mean, the only difference that that's keeping us from that is, connecting them in the way that they're soon, hopefully, going to be able to connect them. You know what I mean? We have the AWE that's coming soon. The Apple convention that's going to talk about all this stuff, the stuff that they're going to add to Siri, the advances. And I put it in the broadcast group, so people can see on this stuff, because I do believe that soon enough it's gonna be, it's gonna know who you are, and you need to know what it can do, so what you feel comfortable. It's like me coming over. You want me to do things for you? I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna knock on the door, wake you up. I'm gonna make sure you're breathing. You got to let me know, hey man, I'm good with some of these processes. Maybe in the morning, make me breakfast. Maybe remind me that I need to work at this. These are the stuff that I want to make sure that you do for me. Not take everything, all my privacy and learn, everything that I'm doing. But from coffee pots to watches to, alarm systems, computers. You saw the Dell computers that are coming out. Once again, I posted up about that. The Dell computers are going to have AI in them. Remember everything. And once again, it is a great thing, but it's a thing that might be a nightmare to some people. That's a lot of memory to remember about you. Think about it.
It's so integrated, right? Life now is just so integrated. Absolutely. And I think that's a good segue actually as well, because the next thing I wanted to touch on was trust in technology and specifically in AI. Any new technology. Now, look, when we are in real world, when we are sort of, connecting with each other, it takes time for even a person to build that trust. It's an overtime thing, right? And you bring that with credibility, you bring that with so many number of different things, right? Your reputation, etc., etc. Trust in AI. How important is trust when it comes to AI, and what can be done to build and maintain that trust so that people are using it in the way that perhaps it adds value?
So I think it's very important. It definitely is very important to have the trust. I mean, once again, it's just like anything else in your life. You want to have the trust of what you're doing, and who you're sharing the information of, what you are doing. So it's very important. It's definitely very important to have trust in the systems that you're using, the AI that you're buying, and it's also having trust in the people that you're going for the services. Sometimes you see, advisors, or you see, businesses, or even Ring cameras that have AI systems in them that necessarily, they disclose it in a small little paragraph about this big, but it's, for the most part, it's using a lot of your data for things that necessarily you might not agree with, that you are agreeing with without knowing. I think the best way that you can mitigate this type of stuff is educating people. The more that you can educate, the more that people can know what is going on, how these things can be used, and you can use it for yourself. Once again, it comes back to that perspective of the stick, right? I could put a stick in the middle of this place, and every single one of you guys would probably use it a different way, right? So if we all educate each other on the ways that this stick could be used, now we have a way that each person can personally say, okay, well, now I have a certain way, more specific way that this stick can help me with, right? So it's just like that with AI. If the more knowledge you have on these systems, or at least have on your team, the better you're going to be able to say, okay, this is how I want, my perspective of how I want to use this tool and how this fits in my, keyhole to open up the next opportunities I need to open up.
And you said a magic word there, Leroy. Sorry, go on, finish your thought.
The last thing, I'm so sorry, and you asked because I do want to finish the last part of that question. How do you maintain the trust? You maintain the trust by, number one, continually educating. So it's OpenAI. All these industries need to be making sure that they educate and include everybody, right? Yeah. And on top of that, continue doing tests, right? Allow the feedback loop. Continually have that feedback loop with the people they're servicing. They want to ask you a question to know what you need from them, and they're providing that back to you. And keep doing it in a loop. So a feedback loop, I think, is the biggest thing that they can definitely do to keep our trust in these products.
And especially as we're still going through that very early cycle of all of this as well, right? And you mentioned the magic word there, Leroy, data.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. Gosh, we could have had like a whole episode just on that, right? Because data is king, data is queen, but it's only good if it's clean, right? And all these large language models that are sort of, essentially what sits behind all of these AI models, etc. Unless that data is trustworthy, then you've already got sort of, front foot. You're not necessarily going to trust that tool or that bit of technology that's put in front of you. What are your thoughts around some of that? Because I think that we still have huge challenges around some of those things.
So I think the issue with a lot of this stuff is that it's hard to, it's not new, right? It's been a while for a while, but the use of what we've kind of use it for and what we're hoping to continually use for has kind of expedited. So it's more, we're able to use it in a way that we've been wanting to use it for a while, and we've kind of hit a spot where we're trying to find further uses and how more we can integrate this stuff. I do find like I do find like ways that I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so it's just I was just thinking data. What are your thoughts? Because data's still got a long way to go in terms of, for everyone to wholly trust it, especially some of these sort of public data models, right? So like even ChatGPT, it's based on public data that's available there. And often your human unconscious can kind of translate into what is in the data. And therefore then, you've got an AI model that's pulling through and being fed through and trained on that data. So, we've got a lot of challenges around data. I just wanted to get your thoughts around some of that.
I'm sorry. So I see where I was going. I'm telling you, sometimes guys, I say this, sometimes when you're innovating or when you're trying to think of ways to, you kind of get lost, right? So data is a big thing. And it is true that you're bringing up a lot of stuff about the issues that we're having with data, right? The biggest thing about data is that now that we're conscious about data, everybody's like, well, I want my data. I want to know what you're using my data and why you're making so much money with it. But we have to understand that it's like, we've had the same data for a long time, and everybody's had the same ability of making the money for it, right? We have to be conscious, like it was said before, with the testing and the feedback and loop back to what this data is being fed, right? So if we're trying to replicate the real world, that's not good, right? Because in the real world, we have a lot of, bias. We have a lot of racism. We have a lot of people that have issues, things that necessarily are coming in that we don't need this stuff to replicate. And it's like you're training a kid, think about you guys, everybody who have, kids or takes care of kids from, the age of 1 all the way up to, I don't know, man, they learn so quick and they pick up so much stuff. You say, a bad word one time and they repeat it. Think about AI doing that 1,000,000 times, right? Yeah. You keep feeding hate. You keep feeding all this stuff that has bias, tells you, hey, these type of people don't like to do this, or this type of person shouldn't be offered this type of job. It's going to replicate that, right? And you see it a lot, and then on top of that, then you have the people, and this is something that is also a problem. You have the people that go out of their way to kind of input this type of data in there, right? Yeah. That's why it's important to make sure that you have human oversight, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
sitting over looking at this stuff, running these
Mm-hmm.
tests, looking at, okay, what is it that these biases can be, and then including every single person of the community in there. Because you can do all this stuff, but if you don't get the feedback of everybody as a whole, even if it's as small as, to you, it might be a percentage of a percentage of a percentage. If you do not represent each person, then at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, you're still missing a big aspect of what we need this stuff to do. And it's not,
Yeah.
it's represent everybody and make every single thing, bigger than what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And that kind of sort of, goes into my next question as well. How do you think we can prepare the workforce for AI driven future? Because it's so important that those who are
I love
designing
this.
this, those who are getting involved in all of this, are actually bringing in the right thinking, are able to sort of, clean the data in the right way, ensure that there are ways to be able to kind of, overcome some of those challenges. How do you think we can prepare the workforce?
So the biggest thing, just like anything else, is educating, right? Bringing this stuff forward, have it hands on.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have ever, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have met Second Life Rich, um, he's very good. He gets groups together. You guys want somebody that can explain it to you guys. It's not Barney style. I hate saying Barney style. I get it from the military, but in Barney style, basically, he explains it in a way that's very, very easy for you to understand. And I think that right there is going to be the biggest way for you to upgrade your team. You don't have to be an expert in
Yeah.
everything. If you try to be an expert in everything, you're gonna fail in that. You just
Yeah.
have to have not basic knowledge, but great knowledge in most things, and then pick something that you want to be, the rowing within your team. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
AI is going to play a big part. If you guys get your
Mm-hmm.
team together and sit down and, if the more you follow groups, the more you have education, the more you guys sit together and exchange this, give each other, we do like 2 minutes. Guys, I talk. You can see I talk. I like to talk, right? But I like to make sure that it's not much of just rambling, but we give each other 2 minutes, right? And each person has 2 minutes to basically, hey, this is what I have this week. This is what I learned. This is a cool tool that I use not only for business, but I used it for personal. And then these are some people that I met, da da da. And now, hey, that's something that I grabbed. I tried a little bit of your data, I guess, and now I get to put this stuff to wheels. You try a little bit of mine, and together we have all this, we're empowering our data just like they
Yeah.
empower our data. You get what I'm saying? But we have to share it in that way because we don't have, the money to make this stuff go as they
Yeah.
go. But yeah, educating our team, keeping them
It's so
up on
important.
everything.
It's
Yeah.
so important. And also sort of upskilling yourself and adapting to what the new
Mm-hmm.
technology is offering you as well. A few years ago, being able to code was so hot, right, Laura?
Yes.
If you knew how to code, that's it. You know that you're going to get a good job in tech industry and be able to make good money. Now, AI is able to do that for you. So how are you going to stay abreast of all of these different challenges that technology is going to sort of put in front of the way you operate today to where you operate tomorrow? But if you are an opportunist, you would see that actually it allows me to already do that. What
Mm-hmm.
can I and how can I use my time better to actually grow my company, grow my business in a different way rather than sort of sitting in a dark room and writing codes, right? So there
Yeah.
are so many opportunities. We just need to be so open to it. And the other thing is, this is another thing. And I mean, Leroy, everyone in the room knows I am huge when it comes to women empowerment. This is something I'm so passionate about. And I'm still seeing so many programs where it's like, let's get girls to code. And I'm like, no. Let's change that because it's not just about girls coding. We need
Mm-hmm.
our girls, women to be in the room when the decisions are being made about what
Yep.
data is going to be used, how it's going to be used, how we're going to
Mm-hmm.
train these AIs, and that they are part of that decision-making process. So, the world's going to have a different way of thinking of, how do we empower some of the groups that we have been for years? It's going to have to change. It's going to have to look
For sure.
different. So there's a bit of that as well. The good thing is, and tell me what you think about this, because there's both sides of the coins to both side of the coin to this as well, Leroy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to have regulation around some of this stuff that's it's coming and it's growing, because AI is growing at the scale we've never seen before. The acceleration of technology right now, we always knew it was going to come. Technology disruption has been a mega trend for a very long time, right? 10 years ago, we knew it's coming, but
Yeah.
it's come and it's just accelerated at the rate we never knew it would.
Mm.
So regulations around all of that's really important. Now, I know EU has passed a regulation. I know
Yeah.
US has got a different point of view around that. US is almost kind of taking the point of, look, everyone behave yourselves and keep innovating, right?
Yeah.
Because we also know with regulation, sometimes it can actually, cut down innovation and creativity somewhat because it's trying to create some kind of controls, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
what are your thoughts around some of this stuff, Leroy?
So I do believe once again that there should be regulations and there should be safeguards, just like anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also boils down to who are making these regulations and what safeguards are being made by these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can cut it however you want to cut it. At the end of the day, it's representation of what you are servicing and the people that are grabbing that service. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? So these
Mm-hmm.
policies do have to come out, but the policies
Yeah.
need to represent what the people want. It's not just
Yeah.
policies that are made because it's people that are not educated on AI systems and they're scared that they believe that, jobs are being taken or that someday an AI
Mm-hmm.
system is going to embody who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just quickly touch on this. You brought up on the last part about, coding, right?
Yeah.
um Ben Jabba Juba, he's a scripter in here, right? And there's many scripters in here. There's many great scripters
Mm-hmm.
in here. And there's many great scripters all around the world. The big thing that I tell him all the time that I like about him is that he has a way of thinking, creative way of thinking of how he makes things work, right? So
Yeah.
he scripts just like anybody else, but the way that he thinks and problem solves is different. And that's something
Mm-hmm.
that you have over right now over AI. You won't have to worry about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have the creative thinking, the way of problem solving, you have that over AI. It doesn't matter what you do, a hairdresser, an advisor. I mean, right
Yeah.
here, we have Viva Coach. Is there AI that can replace her? Man, Google, can get you the information, but how do you use it? How do you
Mm-hmm.
put all this stuff together? How does it make sense to you? Viva Coach, the person that you can talk to, the person that understands what living life is, has that perspective, and that's what makes her successful, right? And I'm sure that she, enhances what she does with AI. Like a lot of you guys
Yeah.
are going to enhance your life with AI. But yeah, I
Absolutely.
do want to
Absolutely.
bring that. Yeah,
Yeah, no, no,
policies
100%,
definitely.
100%. I mean, I've always said be human led and tech powered. You've got
Hmm.
to be. I mean, in today's age, if you're not being human led and tech powered, and it has to come in that
There you
order
go.
as well, right? Because as humans, we have critical thinking that will not be found in that data. Or if it is in that
Mm-mm.
data, it's because of humans have put something out there that is being sort of, collected as part of that. So always, always be human led and tech powered. We have to leverage what we have around us to be able to succeed and be able to compete in the future as well. And there's so many entrepreneurs and business people in this room, and we must bring that forth as well and use it for our advantages as well. Now, as someone who's so deeply involved in AI, what excites you most about the future, Leroy?
So the biggest thing to me, and this is a personal thing, and I've talked about this a lot, right? I've had this thing since I got out of the military that I not there's no issue with passing away, right? There's absolutely no issue with it. The issue
Mm-hmm.
comes with never existing, right? They always
Mm-hmm.
say you pass away twice. You pass away the day that you pass away, and you pass away the day that the last person says your name or talks about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the second part. The second one is the one that not creeps me out, but kind of makes me aware of myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem with the first way. It happens. But the second way is the one that I'm more, working towards. In the past, being an avatar is cool. You know what I mean? Like I as you guys know, I'm fully, if you've seen me, you've seen the avatar. It doesn't matter if you see me out and about or you see me in here, or you see me in any platform. It's the Leroy. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But until now, AI has allowed a lot of us to be able to grab this persona, right, and become more than this, right? So the day that I pass, I hope that this, who I am can be continued by AI. Some people don't like that. You get what I'm saying? Some people don't want that for themselves. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it's something that it, is being pushed or anything like that. I'm just saying you guys are looking at, 3D characters, like let's say the polar bear, right? The polar bear from Coca-Cola, or the
Mm-hmm.
gecko from Geico. Those are characters. Those are legit characters,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of times we look at these things, we laugh, and they make that's what I'm talking about. For the people who want to pass things on to their family, or maybe want to leave something for their family, I think AI is making it really exciting for this to happen. I'm also excited for people, veterans, people also who are in the disabilities overall, from, having anxiety, depression, being able to talk to somebody that you can personalize,
Yeah.
to maybe having prosthetics that we've never had in the past that now can do so much because of AI. from hearing to be even to
100%.
see. I mean, look at the Meta glasses. End of the year, they're going to have their conference. They've talked about this Project Orion. They've talked about these glasses, these AR glasses, in the future they'll have. I mean, the glasses they have now, you can ask it whatever you want, and the way you use it is what makes the product. So I'm excited for a lot of this stuff. I'm excited for you guys to be able to create so much more. And I say I'm going to finish with this on this question. Right now, the biggest thing that I'm excited for is that I'm going to look around just like people used to look around, and I'm going to look around one day and say, man, I used to think my house was smart. I used to think my life was smart, and I had a great process throughout my life. This is a smart house. This is a smart life. And somebody in 30, 40 years or 100 years is going to say the same thing about our lives. But it's going to be awesome to see how far this stuff goes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any stopping, but hopefully it's done in a very ethical way, right, as well.
Of course.
That's very, very important. And final question, what is one piece of advice, Leroy, that you would give to our audience here today and those that will be listening to the podcast about AI?
So the biggest thing about AI, right, that they've said is that AI has the problem of manipulating us, right? That's the biggest issue. If you guys look up, the biggest problem that they're scared of is humans being manipulated through data, right? Sometimes we Google things and the first thing we read is the first thing we take, right?
Yeah.
The first thing that we see is the first thing, or the first thing that it pops out. We don't prompt it because we might not be educated enough to understand how we can have this conversation. They're making it easier and easier for us to be able to just talk to these things, right? If you've used, once again, the Meta AI, I feel like it's very comfortable. You feel like you're talking to somebody, right? As opposed to some of these other ones, you have to kind of prompt some of this stuff. But if I have one big advice is, if you want to stay ahead, educate yourself in what you want to stay ahead in, right? If you think that you have all the education, you're never going to continue growing. You're never going to continue learning. You're never going to have, people are going to talk to you, and you're always going to think every conversation is a waste of time. I've talked to people that even if it's a small conversation about anything, there's always one valuable thing that I feel like I take from them, because to me, it's what I can mold it into. It's just Play-Doh at the end of the day, but I want to mold it into something. If I'm going to mold it into something, I have to have the knowledge of what that something is. So you need to have that knowledge in your head. So when in life gives you that mold, that dough for you to mold, you have that knowledge to be able to mold it into what the heck you want to mold in. If you want to, whatever your work is, and be able to educate people. And you definitely want to have people like Viva Coach, people like Tony, people like Maddie, all these people that are here. Hardy was here earlier, and a lot of you guys, the people publicists, all you guys, each other. You definitely want to have people like this that have that education, that knowledge. I told Hardy, you meet every day. You meet somebody that knows something that you don't know. Every single day you meet somebody that knows something you do not know. And just because you might think you know everything, or you might be too good to understand what, educating yourself is, you're getting Play-Doh in front of you, and it stays Play-Doh the whole time. Meanwhile, other people are picking this Play-Doh up, and they have Viva Coach or an advisor on their side, and they're molding this stuff into crazy things, breaking it off and making it into more. So that's my one tip, man. Just keep educating, and never think that your cup is full of education or knowledge. You always have more. Just like ChatGPT has more.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Look, I am a lifelong learner. That is something that I've always believed in. And having thirst for knowledge is the best thing ever. Honestly, it helps you grow and everything. Now, there's this final segment, Leroy. So unless you've seen my previous podcast, you wouldn't know. I tend to do a rapid fire round. So tell me if you're ready for it. I've got a few questions for you.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm
right,
about to...
let's do it. Awesome. Right, let's go. Let's go quick with this one. What's your favorite AI application that you're using daily right now?
What's my favorite AI right now? I'm going to be honest with you. I put it up, I think a couple of weeks ago. It's an agent AI. If you want to check it out, it's in the broadcast group. Man, I'm telling you, any agent AI that you can find. I just put up Minion. You can try that one out. But anything that could do tasks, I love it, man. ChatGPT is awesome. But hey, explore some of those stores. I will say a lot of those GPTs created by people, user created GPTs, those are really crushes, or really good to use.
Awesome. And I'm well aware of your love for food. So the next one is, have you come across any interesting AI applications in the food sector?
In the food sector, no. You know why? Because of these Meta glasses, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I just go around asking these things, stuff. And I sit there and just, prompt it and have conversations with it. But no, I right now I'm honestly not using any of them, any of the
Right.
because most of them are using ChatGPT API on them. So, but
That's
no,
true. That's true.
the meta glasses, those are the ones right there for food, pictures and knowledge. I'm telling you right
Awesome.
now.
Awesome. And I also know you like to run.
Oh
You
yeah.
know you're into your fitness. So are there
Mm.
any AI powered fitness tools or apps you personally use or would recommend?
So man, I'm not listen, they don't sponsor me, they didn't give me these things for free or nothing. But once again, I have there's a run app, right? It's called Run, literally just Run. Under Armour has one too. You can use that one too. They're all integrating AI into it. But the biggest thing to me is when I run, and I'm gonna do it right as soon as we're done with this podcast. I'm gonna go on a
Mm-hmm.
run. I hate running. You know what I'm saying? Like I run a minimum of 3 miles, but I hate running. And the biggest reason I hate running is because it's so boring. But I don't want to listen to music, right? And I don't want to just fill my head with information that I don't need or data. So
Mm-hmm.
I use the meta glasses and I run with them and I'll have a conversation with them and I even with the pace I try to ask, as much as I can, and hopefully in the future they integrate with more apps to be able to keep asking them these kind of stuff. Because
I
once
really
again,
like that.
running with the meta glasses, to me, I mean, they slide a lot and they're kind of foggy, but when you
Are there?
it's definitely it's a game changer and I like it. I definitely do.
I really like that because I love my gym. I'm super into fitness, but I'm also not a natural runner. And I actually did
Wow.
half a marathon this one time. I had to train for it. And you're
That's what
right.
I'm talking
It's
about.
very boring.
It is.
So
It's
and I'm a
boring.
bit like you as well. I actually always think about my brain as sort of storage space, and I don't really listen to a lot of music. I fill that up with other things. And when I'm in the gym, I'm actually sort of listening to some of my faith podcasts, for example,
Yeah.
etc. as well. And so actually, I really like your idea about meta glasses there. That's awesome. And right, so if you could have AI solve one problem in this world, what would that be?
Right now, my problem. I mean, it's not just my problem, but a lot of people's problems, and it's just disabilities with people, right? Just overall,
Mm-hmm.
and a disability can be anything. You know what I mean? I sometimes people have visual disabilities, and some people have other different disabilities you necessarily can't see. But I hope that it can help a lot of these people because just being a veteran, I think it's going to help a lot of people, be able to overcome a lot of stuff mentally and a lot of stuff physically. So that's one of the big things. And I think,
That's
and then when I
awesome.
said with me is once again, I want this, who you guys hear, the person that talks, to live forever. You know what I mean? And I think AI is going to help with that, man. I want to give that back to veterans as well. You know what I'm saying? And people who
Brilliant.
need it.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So here's some quick preferences question.
Mhm.
AI assistant or personal trainer?
Oh man, right now, you know what? Because I feel I have the knowledge, I'll say AI assistant. But if I didn't have the
Okay,
knowledge, I think a personal trainer would be great.
awesome. Smart kitchen gadget or a fitness tracker?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I smart kitchen. I like kitchen gadgets. I'm a gadget guy. The
Okay,
kitchen.
got it, got
Oh
it,
yeah.
got it.
Oh yeah.
Virtual reality workout or AI driven meal planner?
Ooh. Okay. So I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna say the virtual reality workout because man, that boxing game. You want to talk
Yeah.
about cardio? Whoo, that thing is definitely. But there's a lot more other ones that are definitely great. The reason why not the AI recipe is because I do flexible eating. Once again, just it's something I've
Yeah,
been doing for a long time, so I have that
got
pretty
it.
down pat.
Got it, got it. Well, let's give Leroy some confetti. That was really,
Hey,
really
all
awesome.
right,
And look, there
appreciate
you
y'all.
have it. A fascinating dive into future of AI with our expert guest. AI is not changing the way we work. It's literally reshaping our entire way of living in the world. From
Yep.
enhancing efficiency and accuracy to opening new possibilities we've never dreamt of, AI is truly here to stay and it's a game changer. So thank you so much for sharing your insights, Leroy. I've really enjoyed that conversation. And if I be honest, I could have carried on for like another hour because there's so many questions, so many more questions that I have on my mind as well. But I know we often connect and I'm sure we can continue our conversation as well. So thank you for today. And for our listeners, remember that the key to navigating this rapidly evolving landscape is continuous learning, like Leroy's already said, and adaptation, like I was saying before as well. So whether it's through understanding the basics or tackling some biases or leveraging AI for growth, staying informed is the best strategy. So if you're looking for one, that's the one. That's the way to go. And we hope you've enjoyed the episode of the Viva podcast. Don't forget to join us on June 12th at 7 p.m. EST for our AI masterclass at the Viva Masterclass studio on Horizon Workrooms. We will be looking at how do we use AI tools to really optimize the way we do business. And this is a solution in a box masterclass, which means you'll walk away with skills on hand to be able to apply to your business straight after. So I'm super excited about that. And it's going to be an incredible opportunity for us to learn. I mean, Leroy's just said this so many times, right? It's about knowledge, it's about growing. So that gives you an opportunity to do exactly that. Now, you can buy your ticket for Viva Masterclass over at the Viva shop, which is an immersive system. It's an e-commerce system in the world of metaverse, which is awesome. And so many of you are business people here as well. So if that is something that you're interested in, then please do follow Mark on Marquis_immersal on Instagram, or visit his website at www.immersal.co. And that's it. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening, everyone.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leroy. That was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. And look, you can stay around, you can network, talk to each other. Leroy, if you've got a little bit of time, ask questions. Yeah, let's do a picture.
Everyone
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea.